Hey yo, salute to all my subscribers. Shout out to everybody else passing through. YouTube, what's good? So I stopped through to talk to the fellas today. And just to let y'all know again to reiterate, the topics that I bring through on my channel, I don't just pull them out the air. Usually it's a conversation that I have with somebody, come across something, or somebody asks me a question or what I think about a situation, and the wheels start turning. Usually from there, that's usually how I get my topics for whatever videos I end up putting out. And again, I do it not to judge anybody or make anybody think that I'm coming from the place of I know everything when it comes to this relationship shit or whatever it is. It's really just kind of giving y'all an insight into how, one, I process things individually, two, for the opposite gender who's watching, I'm pretty dead on usually with generalizing how men process things. And then from the opposite side of that, from my fellows who watch, I'm also usually pretty good at generalizing how things are looked at from a female perspective. And that's due to the fact that, one, I was raised by females and I have an extensive circle of female friends who I have very deep and engaging discussions with about different issues and topics. So that's pretty much that. So let's get into um, why I'm here with this video right now. So I had a conversation with one of my friends, and they were talking to me about a guy that they just met, and the guy's 50, and he has a 5-year-old daughter. And when my friend was asking me about what I think about the situation, what stood out to me and her was that, one, usually when you meet someone and you're given like your backstory, your rundown, or whatever, and she mentioned, that she has some kids who are all grown up or whatever the case, and she's kind of asking him about his situation. It didn't initially come up, but her being inquisitive and her just, not it's not really commonplace for most men, especially at that age, to have gotten all the way to 50 and not have any kids. So she pressed him a little bit. She's inquiring with him, and then he ends up saying, "Well, I do have one kid who's a teenager, and then I also have a 5-year-old." She asked me what I thought, so I decided to kind of reiterate what I communicated to her, and bring it to y'all for further processing, like I usually do. So let's get into it. Um, First thing, if you meet a guy who's anything over 35 and he has a daughter or a son who is under the age of 13, I'm finding that most women don't want to deal with men who have children who are under a certain age, usually under the teenage years, because usually that's an indication that there's still a lot of involvement that goes on with the other parent. And that's whether you're male or female. Although, in my experience, men are typically a lot more flexible when it comes to dealing with women who have younger children than I'm seeing women are when it comes to dealing with men who have younger children. I don't necessarily know why that is. I think it's a double standard, but it is what it is. The second thing, what my friend mentioned to me when she was giving me the rundown about this dude that she met, was that when they started talking about his 5-year-old daughter, he alluded to the fact that he doesn't see her. And it didn't really come up if he had mentioned, or if she recalled him saying, if he mentioned if he has never really spent time with her, or if this is a more recent thing. But from what she got from the conversation, what she took away from it was that he really doesn't see his daughter at all, hasn't really seen her, and she's 5. As a man, as a father, it's two things, because I don't want to assume that it's one way. So because I really had to tell my friend, because automatically she was like, "Yo, I think that's kind of a turnoff, and that's kind of crazy that, you have a daughter that's that young and you don't see her." I really had to break this down. Well, first of all, before I even get into that, fellas, if you have a child who's that young, 5 years old or under, or 13 or under, and you're really not seeing your child, that's a problem. How can you be willing to meet someone and commit to a relationship, but you can't even commit to your role as a parent? I don't really fuck with that. And as a father myself, I don't really respect that. I don't care what you have going on with a co-parent. I don't care what the personal relationship is between you and another parent. And this is for men and women. When it comes to your children, that's a whole separate thing. And people need to stop letting their personal feelings and issues toward each other bleed over into their responsibilities as parents. Having said that, though, I had to break down to my friend that a lot of men who are in situations where they have babies with women and in situations where they're no longer with those women for one reason or another, most men don't often know, one, what their rights are as parents, as a father. And most men don't understand that you have just as much right to your child as the mother of that child has. But what typically happens is, for whatever reason, whether women who are upset that they can't be with the father that they had the child with because he doesn't want to, or he's still running around, or he's not ready to settle down, or whatever the case, or he got someone else pregnant, all the typical bullshit and drama that goes on. So she decides that her way of getting even and getting payback is to keep that child from him. So she runs off to court, puts him on child support, and says he's not coming around and all of this shit. And because men are very cautious about getting into these types of situations with women to try and avoid trouble, like legal trouble, most men will stay away. But what you men need to start realizing, and I'm talking to all my fellas, you have every right to your child. Don't ever let another woman, period, if you had a child with her, really bring you to the point where she's making you think that she controls if and when you see your child. That's not up to her. And if any mother at any point in time is keeping you from your child, and there is no reason for it in the way of you being a threat to that child, then essentially what she's doing, she's committing custodial interference. And that's pretty much like one step below kidnapping, or two steps below kidnapping. It is your natural birthright, your God-given right, for you to spend time with and be with your child if you so choose. The courts will not stop you from doing that. The courts will not automatically issue orders for you to stay away from your child. What typically happens is these women start threatening you men, and so you stop coming around. And then they'll wait a certain amount of time, and then they'll go to court and say, hey, I don't know why, or for whatever reason, but he's not coming around, he's not seeing his kid, he's not helping me with his kid. And the next thing you know, you're on child support. Next thing you know, she has physical custody. Look, anytime that a woman goes to court for a child that she shares with you, you have the right to go to court as well. Matter of fact, before she even does that, if you see that that's where it's going, you go to court first. These women are taking advantage of the system because, in my personal and very educated opinion about this particular topic and dealing with so many men who have kids who have run down these issues to me, men just don't know what their rights are as far as being fathers. And for the most part, most men, especially in urban environments like black and Latino men, try to avoid the court system and anything having to do with the legal system and authority as much as they can. But you do have rights as a father just as much as a mother has. And if you can prove and show that you're a better parent, then you may even be able to make your case to get custody of your children if you want them. It's not like it used to be. Stop letting these women trick y'all into thinking that you don't have any power or any say when it comes to your children. You just got to be active and be persistent and make sure that, any notice that you get or any time you get wind of any type of court proceedings, show up and state your case, because the court doesn't know what your side is. And if you're not there to give your side, and then this person is there, this female is there, crying this sob story about how you're not helping and you're not there for your child, the court doesn't have your side to go on, then it's kind of like a default thing, But it takes a lot, and it's very extreme cases where a parent is actually stripped of their parental rights. I mean, barring you giving up your parental rights voluntarily, it takes a lot to actually have the court strip you of your parental rights. And usually those types of things don't happen unless you've done something that physically put that child in danger, some type of neglect or abuse, or things of that nature. So I just stopped through to let y'all know that, because a lot of women, they're meeting these men that have these issues where they're not able to see their children, and automatically they want to put it off on men. There are men out there who aren't making the effort to see their kids and spend time with them, but That's not always the case. There's definitely a large number of these men out here who would like to see their kids, help raise their kids, be involved in their kids' lives. And too many women are holding these babies hostage. And what you women need to realize is you're not hurting anybody but your child. I don't pretend to know everything. I just know what I know. I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace and love.